What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Fox Sound Finance, where we analyze the stock market using technical analysis. Please understand that I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing in my videos is financial advice. Please do your own research and buy what you want to buy. Alrighty? Buy what you want to buy. Anybody in the comments bitching and complaining about me pumping any of these assets, you do not have to buy it. That is all I'm going to say. Do your own fucking research. Buy what you want to buy. Okay, guys. Coming in hot today, we got a weekly update for you. It's going to blow your mind. There's a lot of fucking chaos and pandemonium going on in the stock market realm, especially within the social media sector on Twitter. You have big accounts freaking the fuck out with 500,000 followers who claim to be experts and financial pros, but they don't know what is fucking going on to the most basic degree. All right, so I got a couple of things I'm going to get off my chest here, all right? We're going to cover AMC solely, not going to cover the other 4 or 5 plays. They're in retests, massive drawdown retests before they continue anyways, which I will still be covering, trust me. But we've got to discuss some of the shit that's going on because it's absolutely dangerous that these people have such an influence and a hold on a population of people. So let's discuss real quick before I jump into the IWM and get us a little update there is the silver situation. All right, let's go into the iShares real quick because this blows my fucking mind. Everybody's freaking out and shitting their pants, guys, about the silver crash, the gold crash, and then crypto's now crashing. You know, all these hype accounts posting just straight engagement farming content is fucking disgusting because if you are absolutely investing real money in here, you've got to be careful where you're getting your information from. And anybody that brings people down from that euphoria high is a fucking shill. So I will probably be called a shill for saying this. But I am telling you right now, if you don't get your shit together, guys, when you're looking at these charts and you're trading, you're going to be fucked. Long term, you will be fucked because you are not approaching this market with any type of logic. Even if you made $1 million, you're going to lose it because you're not paying attention to the little signs here in front of you. I should say major signs because it's apparent. But with a commodity like gold, silver, especially, you don't get 200% plus run-ups, guys, every year like that. This is a very rare phenomenon that's happening. And when you see this, you can Google this right as I'm saying this. Pause the fucking video. Look up parabolic arc setup and understand that when this thing starts moving in this trajectory, you have a base 1, 2, 3, 4, and it blows off the top and it fucking crashes violently. Okay? You have to understand this. If you don't get it through your head now, you're going to have a hard time even trading this market long term. I don't care if you made $10 million. If you're going to keep putting that money in the market, you will not keep getting lucky in the same way unless you know what you're looking at. So everyone, these major accounts are like fucking freaking out. This is manipulation, blah, blah, blah. Guys, this thing, if you look at RSI, has been melting up multiple times. Month and a half here, 2 straight months of fucking RSI overbought, 70 plus, just straight melting. I told you I have a parabolic arc setup. Go look at what that looks like and tell me if I'm crazy. Tell me if I'm wrong. But the setups are all there. The patterns are all in front of you, and people choose to blatantly ignore it. They want to look at memes, and they want to look at bullshit accounts spewing fucking market crash every other day. It's just, guys, you got to pay attention. That's my rant. I care. I do care about the people following on this channel. I do care about people and the possible fucking money that they could be losing. I want everybody to be rich, trust me. But it's scary when I see this shit. And these accounts are now backtracking. Oh, it's manipulation. Oh, it's fucking Ken Griffin. Oh, it's BlackRock. It's JP Morgan. Guys, yeah, they're involved. They're going to fucking sell when they get this price run. That's what you do. So this doesn't go on forever. And these people pushing $300-$400 price targets. It's really scary when you're coming down here buying it in the $30 range. And then this thing's melting for 4 months straight. At some point, you're going to get this. All right? So that's my end rant. Like I said, it really fucking frustrates me when I see people following the bullshit, man, and they're getting duped, man. They're getting duped left and right. And why that is so important, let me go back to IWM before I lose my mind. Why that's so important? Why is it me bitching about the silver and ranting about the silver thing so important? Because, guys, this is going to happen with the fucking meme basket. AMC, GME, when they do this again, similar to AMC or the January 2021 cycle, when they do this again, you're going to be caught in that. You're going to have to make a fucking sound decision when you get out of there and get your profit. Because just like you saw with silver, they're going to crash hard when they top out. When GME and AMC hit that max target price in that fractal sequence, and it's fucking game over, right? That run's done, and things start coming back to earth. You can't sit there and scream manipulation and all that when the thing's going 5, 6, 7, 8, 10x. Get your money and get out of there. This isn't an infinity squeeze, all right? Absolutely crazy fucking gains can be made. But when you're sitting here banking on $900 price targets and shit when it's coming from $1, I'm like, guys, what are we doing here? It's scary, man, to see people, and you'll be stuck in this loop forever until you're fucking dead in your grave because you're continuing to follow the bullshit fantasy hype accounts that just want to make money off your engagement, you know? So that's why that's so important, all right? The silver gold crash, the crypto shit happening now, you know, when things are pumping, you've got to learn to when you're going to take some profit, leave some in there, how you're going to strategize. I'm not saying sell every time something runs up 100%, guys. I'm not saying that, but you're going to have to plan for this. This is why this is so fucking important, this pep talk about the silver crash, because it just shows you what can absolutely happen within a 24-hour period. 30, 40% drops like that, just like that, you know, overnight seemingly. So just pay attention, learn, and understand what is reality and what is bullshit fantasy delusion, because it will make a difference in your bank account. I promise you that much. All right. Now, let's go into the GME situation. This week, Ryan Cohen comes out, right, and he says, hey, I'm going to buy another company. We're going to acquire something. We're looking at the diamond in the roughs. You know, I'm kind of in that boat, in that realm of thinking too. Yes, it could be AMC. I know they did talk about doing a collaboration at some point a couple years ago. Who knows what that was even about? I don't think we even got the full details of that, but it's a possibility. Yes, GME could theoretically on paper buy AMC. Now, whether that's what Ryan Cohen wants to do, if he sees there's some value in that and merging, you know, the GameStop situation with the AMC theaters, technically they got a fuck ton of theater space, right? There's a lot of floor space. I don't know how he could use that. Maybe he could implement, you know, some of the like the trading collectible market within that. I don't know. I kind of think about things like the movie situation, right? Every time a movie comes out, maybe there could be some kind of collectible with it, maybe on the digital front. I know he's got the popcorn bucket thing going, so maybe they could do a collaboration where it's like a digital thing. I don't know. There's a fucking ton of ideas. People want games in the actual theaters, like some kind of arcade or something, or using the theaters as a competitive gaming space. I've heard all of it, right? There's so many different things that I could break down for a whole hour here. I'm not going to. But yes, I think it is a possibility. Is it a for sure thing? I'm not going to say that. But theoretically, on paper, yes, they could buy AMC, right? And I think the other point to make about that is the timing of everything. I've been showing you in my charts here, guys, the timing of everything. Look at our IWM, and this will be a nice segue into the IWM basket. Is we are at that crucial point, and that's why I said I'm going to focusing on AMC, because we're at that pivotal point where we're going to get some kind of direction. We've got news coming from Adam Aaron here in the beginning of February. Actually, yeah, Monday? I think Ryan Cohen is coming out maybe to announce what he's deciding to target. And then you have the dilution potentially, right, or whatever it is, $150 million equity raise for AMC. Sometime this week he could announce that. So how that news is going to impact the stock and how it's going to get us through that next phase is going to be interesting. But I do find the timing of Ryan Cohen coming out and saying all this right when we're at this pivotal moment in our charts, it just goes to show you kind of how close we actually are to this next move. All right. And again, last video, jumping now into the TA and the non-ranting is this huge ascending wedge that we have in the IWM. And what did I tell you guys last week? Please go back and fact check me. I'm not saying I'm going to be 100% right, because I'm not that delusional. Maybe I can be a little delusional. But I'm saying to you right fucking now that everything I've told you so far is tracking. All right. So when you look at the pivot point structure, this is exactly what I was saying last video. On the daily, I've mentioned this a couple times now, that these pivot points last 30 days when you're on the daily time frame, going across 30 days. I said when you get to R3, you had a nice blow off top through the R3 here, and then it retraced all the way back down. And I said, guys, you know what? Given this pattern, this wedge pattern, when these breakouts happen, you typically have this nice explosion out, and then you come back down and you will test this. And it got a little tricky here because I think I was somewhere a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I had these two rejection candles. I believe last video I mentioned this. Two rejection candles at the R3. It came down, nice little fake out to R2, and then blasted through R3, right? And then followed through with my move that I thought was going to happen. I said it's going to come down to the low 260 range, sub 260 range, something like that. I think I said right here to this line as where I was guesstimating, right? It's about 256, 257 at this point. And look at this, you're heading right towards that line. Now, the other scenario is, just want to show you guys this quick before I jump into the TA. And I know you guys are probably like, holy shit, this is going to be a video. Well, you're right, it's going to be a video. Let's go to the VP fixed range tool. And this is what I'm looking for also. This is why you've got to kind of have a multifaceted approach and multiple tools going just to see all scenarios. If I put my VP range tool up here, well, look what we have. We have the biggest bar right here. And I've told you before, price tends to attract here in this region. And look at your dotted blue line. So you could see, depending on whatever's going on in the market, again, there's going to be some kind of news behind this move. But the fact that it's sitting there, your VP, with the most volume, the biggest volume bar sitting here, you could see price come all the way down to maybe even this level. Maybe not quite get there, but you could even see it break through the retest part and then have to have another breakout again. That's just me looking and seeing the VP range and how it's currently constructed. So let's go. Scenario A will be you come down here, you test, get a couple candles maybe, and then you explode back off. And if I'm looking at the RSI looks like it could be in position to do so. Last time you saw RSI get down here, look at this. You had the sell off at the RSI to sub 50, boosted back up, came into the overbought region, sold back off. You're sitting now just at 50. So we might have a little bit more of a push right here and then ride this line for the retest, confirm, and then blast off again. Or you can get a nasty push through and you will test this green line here, which has been a nice support, right? But technically it originates here. So what? You're going to call this a touch 1, touch 2, and then this coming down would be 3 touches on this green line before continuation. That would be scenario B, all right? So let's get rid of that. That is it for the IWM, guys. It's very important to know, all right? I know, I get it. People love being in la la land with certain shit, you know, because again, living in a fantasy when you're dealing with hardships in life feels good to feel like there's something ahead of you that could get you out of that situation. But we've got to start approaching this with more sound logic rather than just emotional mindsets. So that is your IWM. You're seeing the moves play out in front of you. And again, I'm telling you, I think if this retests here and confirms this next push off, you will see the rest of the stocks in this basket start to melt up. Okay? That's my take on that. Let's look at the AMC situation, what you've all been waiting for, I'm sure. When I go back here, I told you guys, go back to my previous videos if you're new, and I will help you understand this structure in a brief fashion because I've already spent a lot of time in this video. But you have your 3 main resistance lines up top to break, okay? You've been trapped under this line here, this 556, for a year plus. And on the bottom here, you have your all-time low support, and then your previous descending, I have a descending support line here, converging, and then another descending support line here, right, at this 4/7/2025. So three descending kind of support lines that connect to the price action that you have been respecting, that you've not broken. However, you're testing them very, very heavily right here. And it's possible there's going to be a potential breakthrough to the downside. But I just wanted to map that out for you, that these are the major resistance lines where price action's been trapped under this for so long. You've not had success in breaking and holding above those lines at all. Okay, we're not talking about big wicks that come through and then come back. You need price action to continue to sustain above these lines if we want to go to that next level. All right, looking at the channel I've created here with my little channel tool, you can see just how the price action nicely stayed in this range given your resistance lines here. Okay, and then just breaks down, breaks down, breaks down. What did I say, guys? People who've been following me, who's been true to the channel, who's been checking in every week with me, what did I say? Look at this arrow. Can't make this shit up. You cannot make this shit up. And I swear somebody could clip this for me. I said, you don't want your resistance line. You see how these candles are poking their head above the resistance line? People might go, this is it. It's bullish. It's going to break. I'm telling you right now, you don't want the resistance line slicing the candles in half. You need these fully to be printed above the resistance line to confirm that this is actually legit of a move. And then when you look at the volume too situation, right, you can see your volume. It was picking up in here in this region when it came up to test. But guys, you didn't have any follow through past this line, right? There was no follow through past this line. And so I said last week, right at this candle was the last time I updated you. And look what happened. I said bar for bar. I said, guys, technically what's going to happen is in this pocket range, which is all we pretty much have to trade in before this makes a decision to the downside or upside. I said, they're going to basically have to have little candles print under this line. I literally said this, that it's going to have to go all the way down. And then this little tight pocket here will be all that remains, which is why I said previously in the start of this video, it's interesting with the Ryan Cohen timing, the moves that Adam Aaron's about to make with the 500 share total count that he could pump into the share float or whatever. I said, this is all interesting timing because look at the chart. Look at the space we have to trade. There's pressure building in here. And sure enough, what the hell happened? You had a candle print under this fucking line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. I'm telling you, you cannot make this stuff up. But that is exactly to the T what happened. I said, you know what? If this does not break out sideways and then go up, it is going to just descend down under this line with this little bit of space. And that's sure enough what we got. Now, where does that leave us today? All right. So now you've broken the previous all-time low support is like what, 145. So now this is where we're at. And I want to make sure I don't okay, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I want to make sure I didn't F that up. But now you're down here at this 135 all-time low. I said before that if you get below this, right, you're probably coming down to that S1 pivot point, which was 125. So 125, 130. This is sitting right there for the taking, essentially, for this to pop down. It's really 5 to 10 cents at this point. It does not matter. I'm looking, though, to see how far can it really go down, right? Like S2, would it be worthy for an S2 push down? It'd have to be something very negative, I would imagine, or that they're going to try to use as negative for a push to 95 cents. I don't see that being the case right now, but I could be dead wrong. And you could get a nasty terminal shakeout that blows past S1 down to 95 cents. And then from there, V-shape recovers out of it and then maybe starts to attack this and break out. That is a scenario. I got to be real with you. It could happen. Does it matter in the grand scheme of what I think is going to happen with this company? No, because I do see this is going to start pumping up to big numbers, just given the IWM basket and where everything's at. Trust me, guys. I do believe that. It's just we're talking now 30 cents, 40 cents. You do what you can with it, right? You adapt, you adjust. You guys make the best decision for yourself. But those are the two targets that I'm looking at where this is headed. If it does not go now, if it's not going to come down to S1 and it breaks out now and we get something similar to this, like I said before, where is it at? If it actually holds this line and we get the breakout this week, what did I tell you guys before? That you could come up to the pivot line, you could reject at the pivot line, you could come back down, test, come back up, maybe test, back down to the pivot line, and then get the follow through up, and then again, test, and just continue this way. Okay, stair-stepping and zigzagging your way up through those resistance targets that I've told you. All right, so if we break now, I think it'll look something very similar to this. And this is slow speed. All right, I'm not talking mega squeeze like, okay, big fat candle that pops up. The only thing that you've got to prepare for is, like I said at the beginning of the video, you've got to learn your exit strategy and what you're going to do. because this will not continue forever. If you've learned nothing, these guys out there, the big players, are not going to just let something run forever. Okay, it's just not going to happen. There's going to be pullbacks at some point. It's in the cards. I'm telling you, you are going to have to figure that out. So that's all you need to plan for is your exit strategy when this starts really pumping and the speed and the velocity is so fast. You just got to figure out when the fuck you're getting off the train. But this here is more so prepping you for the movement that could happen so that you're not getting psyched out and you can see the progression steadily along the way. So that is my breakout right now. And obviously, like I told you, if this decides to break down here, you know, I don't know. My one issue with this is like this is like a nothing drop. This is really a nothing drop, and I feel like off of big news and big breaks, it works the same way to the downside. Like this would have to like drop to shock. You know what I'm saying? Like if this dropped 30% down here, or sorry, 30 something cents, and then you got here and then V-shaped out. Like I don't know. It just makes more sense given the market psychology if it was going to drop. Just to trickle down the S1 and then go is not enough of a scare tactic. If I'm being the opposite end, if I'm the dudes that are like, shorting this or whoever's manipulating or controlling this price action with the off exchange volume, whatever it is, I would say like that move would make more sense to see a crazy candle print like that on some kind of news and then a vicious V-shaped recovery out. We've seen it 100 times out of 100 times. I'm telling you, that's typically what happens with the terminal shakeouts. Doesn't mean it necessarily has to be 100%, but just be ready for it, okay? And I don't want it to happen that way unless, it means you get a nice little fucking discount and this starts plowing through my lines, and it's great for us, right? So that's all I want to see with that for the breakdown. And again, if you're looking at the targets for the R1, like guys, you have to work your way up to these targets. And I'll just go as like generally speaking, but target one right here, you'd have the 215, you'd have the 272, and then the R3 here at 305. And I do think when you got up here, just like you saw with IWM, and you break out of these key resistances, you're going to come down and test them. And then you will get the continuation off the confirmation and volume. Boom, right back out. And that, guys, is going to signify that we're done with the downside, and you're going to start getting these crazy pumps up. Working your way all the way up to this final resistance line. And this will really be the end all be all in terms of where this price action goes. Because I imagine when this reaches a certain point, there'll be some kind of pullback, I'm sure, slightly. It could be down to $4 down here just because of where this top is. I feel like it would be a decent spot. We'd have to confirm with our VP at that point. But let's just say we'll use it as a rough example. Like, let's say there is a pullback and it would give people enough of a scare that maybe they think it's over before this continues. You will blast through this, again, hit another resistance. You would test the trend line. And I think after that, you're going to start seeing the mega pumps. I'm talking like $40, $50 to the edge. Okay. But this initial chaos zone, I'm going to deem this, trademark this, the chaos zone of AMC, is a lot going on in here. There's a ton of resistance, right? And a lot of retesting that needs to happen. So algos are going to be doing a lot of funky shit in this range. That's just me. But I would think that from $1.35 to around $6.79, depending on how fast this is, like if it was to happen in the fashion, I think, somewhere around this $6 range, guys, you're going to have to make a choice and pay attention to this. I will obviously be here throughout the situation, but you're going to have to make a choice as to when are we getting off the train. We got to pay attention to the volume. We got to be paying attention to what he's saying that he's got planned for the company. You got to look at the box office. I like to look at the whole equation. All right. But this is going to be an interesting set here when we get to this point. All right. So we will save that for a rainy day, but you guys get the progression and the idea behind that. When we go to the VP range, real quick, I want to take the VP range right from fixed range volume profile. I want to take it again right from here like I did last video, and we want to bring it to right about there. All right. So again, I told you, just like for the IWM, you can see there's the most volume, the biggest volume bar sitting right here. Price will eventually attract up to that point. All right. That's around that second R2 pivot line. Again, for my new people here, you have your resistance too. So again, price can reject at any one of these orange pivots. Okay, you can get up to R1 and reject all the way back down, retest, and then push to R2, reject back down to this line. Those are what they are. R2, resistance 2. It's telling you that that's where you may run into a fallback. All right. So the fact that your VP biggest bar is right here on this dotted line, R2 sitting there. I said before that I would not be surprised if you got, let's just do this again in general terms. You got the push all the way up, bang, you hit this region. RSI is going to be super hot because that's like 100% move. Come down, you would test here, cool off, and then the next move off into, you know, going towards this next resistance line right here. All right, the 1390 resistance line. That's descending. That's what I would think would make sense based on where this is sitting. And again, I told you before, like if you can get past this dotted line and have candles start to print above this line, you're going to continue to excel up to that line because look at your volume to the left. You have dying volume. It's very weak here. There's no resistance like that. Okay. But the majority of the trading volume is right here. So I think this setup does look pretty good unless, again, something surprising happens and the algo is break. I like to call them algo breaker moves because it can definitely happen where, you know, something is announced and it throws the whole chain off. We've seen it in the broader market, right? Where we have these nice setups and all of a sudden something crazy comes left field and it just fucks it all up. And there's like this weird in-between reset. So that can happen on the upside too. Right, where you have this algo breaker, some major move, something that wasn't foreseen by the market, and then it breaks right through this and speeds it right up. Okay, that is your VP. I don't want to like delete my little sketchy. Okay, good. All right, so that is your VP fixed range. We got our pivot points mapped out, guys. What else did I want to update you on today? Let's see. I got the structure pattern. We are right here, like I said. We are now in the pocket. We covered the pocket, the EMA bands. Yes, that's what I want to go over next. Looking at your EMA bands, obviously look at this sub 270 on the 200 EMA right here, which is extremely good in term for an upside move. I know this right here is like shitty and people are like, well, this is just descending down. What the hell's going on? But the fact that that's happening with the price action and your EMAs are now catching up with the price action when this thing does pop to the upside. And if you get that move and that candle to hold, you know, those candles to hold above the 200 EMA, you're going to have that continuation to the upside. And I think that's when you're going to start getting your melt up. When that 200 EMA starts to become now your support and you're starting to blast off of it, and then price action is causing the crossovers on the EMAs. Speaking of which, the shorter time frame ones, look, they're all still heading down. There's not enough volume right now to curl this 9 EMA up over the 27 I have here. But when you get the 9 across to 27, it will help push that price action up and trigger those algo buys past the next EMAs, right? Because then if you can start getting your 27 across your 48 here that I have, it's like a domino effect, right? To the point where it will lead up to your 100 and then up to your 200, right? It's going to be a chain reaction. Let's just put it that way. But the EMA bands look really good, guys. I like the position of them, even though we are descending down. And this has been kind of boring and drawn out. And people hate to see price continue to fall. But this right here tells me that everything's in range still, right? There's no red flags for me for the EMAs. And again, your RSI, like I said before in the last video, this kind of helps the case that the next push could be the major break to the upside because you are down here at nearly 30 RSI once again, and you just came off of being oversold for, you know, about what, a month, give or take. And, you know, you had the little push up here, which again was just kind of testing the resistance once again. But I'm telling you right now, RSI is in position to have a nice run. Sorry, I'm itching my nose here. I'm like fucking allergies out the wazoo here. It's like so dry in my fucking room here. But yeah, RSI's got enough gas in the tank where this could get us to that push through to the top here of the 218, 220 before we have the little pullbacks and continuation. So RSI looks really good. And the MACD. Let's go to the MACD real quick. Did I take it off? All indicators, MACD. Let me add the chart. There we go. Oh, okay. Here we go. Here is our MACD update. We are now flipping bearish. So RSI being at 30, we could see it, man. And what I say last video, I said, here's my drawing tool right here. I said last video, I wonder, can I draw over here? I cannot. Damn, that sucks. Anyways, last video I said these lower highs that are forming, like let's say right back here, you get a lower high, right? Each consecutive high is lower than the previous, right? You can see how this is descending all the way down. Again, lower than this one. This one, lower than this one. Came back up after the low pop, down, lower low, and again, a lower high. And I said last video, I did want to see this MACD line stay above the signal line and continue to descend upward. And that looks like it's not happening. It looks like we are going to get a flush if this crosses over. It's really on the line right now. So if we get that cross down, guys, you're probably going to see what I said at the beginning of the video, which is the push down to either that S1 or S2 target. I would assume that a significant MACD cross down is going to cause that more terminal shakeout look. That's just me being honest with you. But like, look at this. This is curling right over that line. Unless it's going to fake out and just pop out and there's going to be new bullish volume coming in, fine. But we're going to have to pay attention to this move because you're going to find out probably this week how this MACD line progresses across the signal line here. So that's just me. But that's not looking good. That's not looking how I want it to look. I said I wanted this to start pumping above this previous high here, and we didn't get it. We got another lower high. So we'll monitor it. We'll see where this goes. And again, I do think the move could be very, very violent and quick. So given that, I don't think it's that concerning, even though this is popping down, but the move could be very violent and quick. It could be that terminal shakeout bar anyways. All right. Okay. Holy shit, that's a lot to go through. The last thing I was going to say before I leave you guys today is I wanted to have you look at this. Let me see if we can pop the grid open. It's the HYMC situation, which also, by the way, tanked pretty fucking hard with the, the mining commodities, silver, gold, whatever. Is it going to let me? Damn, I don't think it's going to let me compare them. Hold on a second. Hold on. All right, this is going to be annoying, but HYMC. I've been working on this here with HYMC. And I might have to flip back. Let me see if I can add my AMC to this one now. What the hell? Hold on. Bear with me here. The HYMC. Oh, it's right here. AMC. And we got to go daily. Oh, beautiful. Finally. Okay, let's do weeklies. Now, this is kind of annoying, but just trust me. It's going to make sense. What I'm trying to show you here. Okay. Get this bitch situated real quick. I have a very, very wild take here. And, you can call it what you want, but this chart is identical. And what's wild about it is AMC did not get into this, guys, until, a couple years ago. And this HYMC, IPO'd, I guess we'll call it right here, 2018. What's interesting, though, is look at how this chart looks very similar to the breakdown of AMC here. Very, very interesting. I've been looking at this. I spent hours trying to put the same POI and resistance points that I have here on AMC. And this chart, guys, is like identical. It's very freaky. I'm going to blow this up. And I know this is going to be a monster video, but I don't even give a shit no more. This is like too crucial, I feel like, to share. But when you look at this, comes down here, violent pump up here, sell off with the reverse split, the ape conversion, pump here. Very similar jumps. I mean, this is nearly 1-to-1. The only difference being HYMC is very far ahead with this push. And this is a good indicator for you to understand that with this pattern, and again, I told you that any cliff drop with these stocks are going to return to some level up here. They're going to return very, very close to that drop-off point as a retest. Maybe this whole thing breaks down. They got fool's gold in the fucking thing. I don't know. I'm saying at some point with these patterns, you're going to get a push back up to this cliff level. And HYMC came very close to it. $20, give or take, right? $59. I guess around this region would make sense. $78. About $18 off, $20 off. So it's just very interesting, guys. Why I bring this up to close out the video is because when this broke down HYMC right here, and maybe I'll do another deeper dive video. I just wanted to show you this as a macro look. But when you got to the all-time low on HYMC right here, this is going to be really fucking $1.63. The stock broke out sideways, essentially just went sideways through those descending resistance lines. And then you had a push of about, 100% from there to that 470. It breaks down, begins to form higher highs, and then goes into this melt up. So what I could see, okay, and again, this is my long-term type of look, guys, and I'm looking at every scenario. I do think the 2021 situation is certainly on the table because of the nature of the stocks. HYMC is not AMC, but I'm just telling you the pattern's very, very similar, okay? But and the speed in which they move, and I say this for every stock that we cover, the speed at which they move could be vastly different, okay? But I'm just entertain this idea as a potential possibility. If you see AMC follow anything fucking close to this, where it blows through the outside, whatever the low is going to be, right? If AMC, whatever this low over here is going to be for AMC, right? If we see the low here, let's just say it's here, S2, and it just does this and goes to the side, I want you to pay attention to HYMC's chart and the progression and how it moved, and we'll watch it, because I just think this is very, very peculiar how this is moving. Very similar, very, very similar. You can't even deny this if you wanted to. I don't care who's out there trying to fight against this idea. This looks to me to be almost to the T matching. It's again, though, this is much further ahead. But I told you that every one of these moves on the sides is sort of like a mirror image of itself. That this price action will get accumulated down here and then bought up. Okay, it will be marked up. Just something I wanted to share, because I'm telling you, if we were to compare this, and I will speculate this way. First of all, let's talk about the time frame. From here, 2022, HYMC hits this massive sell-off point before that pop. 2022 to where the low is, November 17th, 2023. So what, a year and a half to hit the low from there. Well, let's look at AMC. Drops here, 4/19, 2024. And our low is about to, I think, happen at any point now. And we're going to be around, 2/6, 2026. So when you do the math on this, what are we looking at? Again, was that a year and a half, roughly? Close, right? Very, very close. About a year and a half-ish for each point to low. Drop off, initial drop off to low. About a year and a half in here. After you hit that, guys, it's like this turns now into an accumulation zone for the next, let's see, 11/17/2023 to the major start of the breakout will go here at August 2025. So you got 2023. This is almost the end of the year, right? Let's just call it, we'll call it end of the year of 2023 to here. What, about a year and some change of accumulation? Interesting. Very interesting, guys. Something to pay attention to. So let's just say long-term, painful move. If I was to draw this out another year, and we have a year of accumulation, like true accumulation, not this distribution pattern. Because here's the thing, like this continues to work down to new all-time lows, and that's not typically accumulative. It is in the sense that on the drops, like I'm sure shares are going to be bought up here, but when you hit this side right here, like HYMC is doing, right? Oh, shit, can I not? You cannot draw. You cannot draw on this, can you? Yes, you can. Like right in this region, there's like a year of this that goes by. Well, the actual flat portion of it is 6/7/2024 to roughly 3/21/2025. So it's like 6 to 8 months of accumulation here, flat range, and then it just starts to progress and mark up. So I don't know. I didn't want to spend a ton of time on that, but guys, I'm telling you, either way, no matter how long this takes, you have the patterns here also to reference, okay? So I will keep you guys up to date, man. If I see anything new that I discover like this, I was looking at this because of the whole silver situation crashing and people fucking losing their mind. And that just got me looking at both charts when I saw this, but just something to add to the whole situation here and to take into consideration. All right. But again, like I said, I will keep you guys up to date. I think everything is really at that crucial moment, whether it's going to be the super macro bottom low that's actually set in stone, and then we're going to get the continuation now, either whether it's the accumulation portion where it's like a nice sideways build into it. But if you just look at where my descending resistance lines end, you also see, like, look at this, like it could get pushed. Theoretically, it could get pushed longer. It just depends on when this break's going to happen of this line. And I'm telling you right now, I think when that happens, you're going to see the HYMCA sort of melt up. Did I say HYMCA? HYMC melt up. I think once that happens, you're going to see that start to eat up this left side cliff here, okay? Definitely longer video today, but guys, there's a lot of content to cover and a little bit of a pep talk / coaching in there for you guys, because I'm telling you, got to be careful, man, where you're getting the information, and your mentals will be a lot more sound when you can kind of see both scenarios, short term, mid term, I should say 3 scenarios, and then long term, right? Short, mid, and long, where this price action is going to go, when it's going to pop, what's in front of you. I just think that that's the best approach at this point, guys. If you've been in it as long as I have, and I've been doing it now since the 2021 squeeze, just learning and trying to figure out this stuff, I'm putting a lot of time into this shit. You know, I really put my heart and soul into learning all these different mechanisms. I'm watching tons of content. I'm reading books on this. I'm trying to learn as much as I can. And anybody who's trying to shit on that, fine, that's your decision. But you can decide to trade on memes if that's what you want to do. If you want to follow these fucking elite figures, and every time they post a meme of an ice cream cone or a dog barking, fine. You know, you can end up like the BBBYQ people, right? Who continue to think that they're getting shares back after the companies go bankrupt. I'm telling you guys, you've got to have some kind of logical sound mind when you're dealing with money, because it just won't last. I'm sorry. It just will not last. So that is all I got for you guys today. And I think that's enough content that you could watch back fucking 3 or 4 times to try to sink it all in. But I will keep you up to date. Anybody that's new, please subscribe, follow us, man. I'm telling you, I got you guys covered. To the best of my ability, I'm going to track the moves. I'm not going to be disappearing like the rest of these guys have done when things go wrong, because I've seen it. People disappearing for 2 years, then all of a sudden they're coming back like nobody, like everybody forgot they were gone and that they were fucking wrong, and then just didn't actually own it. You know, I'm here for it, whatever the outcome is, and I'm going to learn from it. So I want to bring you guys along for that journey. We'll see how this thing progresses, all right? Everybody take care. I'll see you in the next update video. That is all I got.